Hi guys. To know me is to know that I love the Champions League, so it breaks my heart to say that I will be boycotting it. I'm not gonna watch another match. But I'm a serious note. The 2024-2025 Champions League season will see a rebrand, a revitalization, and what UEFA classifies as a chance for fans to be more closer to their teams and for the competition to have more legs in terms of the quality. You'll see some of the biggest teams facing off with each other from early on out, and it gives a lot of other teams chances to qualify. I call BS on that. Let's talk about it. Do not fix it if it's not broken. And the older format was perfectly fine. The group stage method was perfectly okay. But they've scrapped that and they're introducing a league phase. So where we normally see 8 groups with 4 teams, we've seen 4 pots with 8 teams. So that's an addition of 4 new teams coming in. A win gives you 3 points, a draw 1. And the first 8 teams that are on the league standings come at the match day end will automatically qualify for the round of 16, while the 9th to 24th place teams will have to play a 2-legged playoff. What is the point? They market it as teams will now have a better chance of qualifying and teams will have a better chance of getting more leeway, and it's not gonna work. It's just not. It's not to mention it also eliminates the whole, when you get eliminated you go to the Europa League. So smaller teams would have normally capitalized on not being able to challenge in the Champions League, but can put up a good fight in the Europa League and win the whole thing. They no longer stand at that advantage. Another thing that, and I'm sorry guys are gonna have to call me old, tell me to go back to the kitchen, I don't know. All the games being played midweek, woke nonsense. I'm not watching the Champions League on a Thursday. It's just not realistic. It's not gonna happen. And that also takes away from other competitions where they have to also shift around their focus. So in all, it's just more games. Nothing changes because from the round of 16 there on, the competition stays the same. It seems like a cash grab to get more teams in, to get a Super League type of competition without it being formally the Super League. But whatever. I'm here to give my prediction will have to change given how it has also changed. So I'm just gonna talk about the teams who I think could go through on the first 8 qualifiers, and then those who would have to play the 2-legged knockout phase. Manchester City here. Man City is one of the best teams in Europe. They've found their footing in the Champions League, I think, over the past 3 seasons or so. Before they'd had problems that Pep would have to include or make certain signings to make it make sense. They've gradually not having a Champions League to now to having one of a very convincing season to win it. And last year, why they didn't go all the way is they got knocked out by the champions. It's something you can't ridicule or laugh at. It's just like they lost to a very good team and they put a very good fight. And given the teams that they're going to be coming up against, the only one I had any reservations about them proving to beat is Inter Milan, and they've already played them and played for a convincing draw, I would say. So moving on to now, this is their competition. They're the kings of Europe, the kings of the Champions League. You may not like their coaching style, you may not like the way they play, you may not like the players, you may not like that, it seems that all refs around the world favor them. But when it is time for Real Madrid to lock in and get serious about the Champions League, they will. And what we've seen Ancelotti do is some of the new signings, he's kind of gradually phased them into the team. And so last season was their breakout year, and so this year I do think they have a steadier focus on it. Just to break here, you see how they say they're trying to refresh the competition so teams get to play different. How many years in a running are we seeing Liverpool versus Real Madrid in the group stage or in the premature stages? So what was the point? But yeah, I do think they automatically qualify without a problem. So we have Bayern. No, Bayern last year had one of their most disastrous seasons, but it wasn't as bad. Yeah, they missed out on the Bundesliga title. They made it all the way to the semi-final, losing out again. They're one of the teams who lost to the champions. So it shows you that they were on the right track. It just never worked out. And so now with Vincent Company coming in, and he has, you know, revitalized the Bayern way of playing, the youngsters that they have signed, and how incredible they look so far for the players that they've signed so far for this season. I just see them, and then the group they're in is just like an easy. Again, they're meeting Barcelona for like the 8th season in a row, so I do think they pretty much comfortably beat everybody in this group. Liverpool. I think that the title video should be rebranded because the competition has rebranded, and so are these teams. So we see Arne Slot coming in, and a lot of the performances that Liverpool currently put up is a muscle memory of Klopp tactics, but also of Slot's ability to also, because that's the thing with a good coach. A good coach comes in the middle of chaos and in the middle of a season revamp and have the team settled. And I'm so excited to see them this year, and also with the some of the teams that they're playing. It's gonna be really the level. You know what they say, never losing. Versus Liverpool, like last year, Liverpool, when a team scored first, you think they're down and out. They come up with all the big moments. And that's one of the games that I think are gonna be box office. But yeah, they automatically qualify. Like talking about Leverkusen, they made it to the final of the Europa League, which was very, very entertaining. By the way, they've had incredible moments. Persons would have questioned if they're a one-season wonder. I was on that spectrum, but I'm happy for what they are and what they're doing, and all the history that they created in that incredible season last year. So I would expect them to get over this group. I'm not saying it's a walkover because the teams are very good that they're going up against, but I'd love to see a comfortable progression to the round of 16. Atalanta, they are the Europa League winners. They got a top 4 finish in the Serie A. They've just been on an up. Gasperini has done an incredible job there. Their group also is a group that they can do pretty well. Why am I saying group? They are in I don't even know what to call this. They're facing some teams who are pretty strong in defensive and attacking wise, and the history stays the same no matter what. Like Europa League winners normally don't replicate that form in the Champions League, but I see them getting one of the automatic spots. Controversial, Benfica. I do think Benfica this year can cause an upset. I think Benfica can cause a real upset. They're playing I think they have some of the hardest opponents coming up against, but I see it for them. Maybe wondering why I didn't mention some other teams. Well, those teams are the ones that are going to be in the struggling bracket, and they're going to have to do the playoffs. And this is just me trying to predict the future, so stay with me. I have Barcelona. So Barcelona has been through it for 5 seasons straight in the Champions League. They've been disgraceful, and it's a detriment of poor planning and poor management. And even when Xavi was there, despite winning the league and despite having okay performances, he lost run of what Barcelona is supposed to be as a giant. And the change to Hansi Flick, who has experience as a coach in winning titles and in being, you know, firm and strong, it's gonna be incredible to see what he does with this group of players and what their performances will look like. What I do know is that they are at their own detriment. They can cause their own downfall. So far, they've lost the first game to Monaco, and that was because of Ter Stegen's inability to goalkeep. As a goalkeeper, sorry that he's out in an injury. It's gonna be interesting to see the pivot that they do know that he's out and who they bring in. Their finish last season was around the 16th, and would say get back to around the 16. So not make it would be struggling backwards. Arsenal in the Premier League, incredible team. Arteta has come a long way with the trust the process um, movement, but I do think, and even last year showed his inexperience and also his inability to adapt. Despite them getting to the quarterfinals, it wasn't anything. There wasn't a highlight because they still struggled against inferior opponents. And for this group, I do think it's tough. It's tough because great opponents. But I don't see them getting the point that I'm trying to make. They don't get an automatic spot. They're gonna have to go through to the playoffs. Is Juventus, who has had disaster after disaster given the poor management. They also are a detriment to their board as well. But I do think this year they have one of the prime opportunities to get back to the glory that they're used to. And given the teams that they're playing, it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be rough for them, and also to be challenging in this area. So I don't see them automatically qualifying through. So, teams like Leipzig, Man City, Benfica, even Club Brugge could give them a hard day any day. It is in the same Syria spirit. We're gonna go to AC Milan. Milan also disappointing in the Champions League. They dropped out in the group stage last year in what I thought was a very open group, because despite persons were like, oh my god, they're in the group of death, that group was way too easy for you to go out in. And so now they're tasked with even more harder opponents, teams that are unbeaten, teams that stick it out to the end. I'd love to see how they match up against. They've already lost to Liverpool, which is one of the strongest contenders so far. So I wouldn't be surprised if they fail to qualify for the round of 16, given their track record and how they are currently. PSG also haven't broken themselves out of that no Champions League winning. Their best ever season was in the COVID era, and they went to the final in terms of position. And since then, they've not had any glory in the Champions League. They've just had disappointment after disappointment. The amount of money that they throw at the team or the names that they sign, it never seems to work out. And I do think with the teams that they are going up against for this time around, I don't see an automatic spot for them. They have a they have to convince me with these set of teams, and then we can see if they'll do anything. Just a few mentions, like there's a new Premier League club who has not been in the Champions League for quite some time, and it's Aston Villa. Just like the Newcastle, you guys are they're not going anywhere. They are up against tough oppositions, and it's gonna be hard. Girona, I mentioned them again. They think they can pull off some incredible upsets. So yeah, that's my prediction. Again, my top 8 are gonna be Manchester City, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Liverpool, Leverkusen, Atalanta, Benfica. The teams who I don't see automatically qualifying and have to do the playoffs: Barcelona, Arsenal, Juventus, Milan, PSG, Aston Villa. But yeah, thank you guys so much for supporting this video. See you in the next one.